All right, guys, if I looked at that correctly, that last video ended up exactly 30 minutes on the nose. I did not plan that. It just happened that way. Anyway, and if anybody can show me how to trim that beginning and trim that into that video so that you don't see me like walking to turn it off and on, I'd love to know that. I know you guys do it on your phones and you do it so easily. You're probably doing it in an app that helps you do it. But I would like to know how to just trim a little bit video at the front and back. All right, so at the beginning of it. So here's our Delta Math for today. I did want to run through a couple of examples because there's a couple of things on here. Actually, there's nothing on here that I didn't just cover. But you know how it is. Things look a little different, and the answers, they sometimes ask a little different. I will say about Delta Math, a couple of things. I know how frustrating some assignments on Delta Math can be. You get some of those assignments that at the very bottom there's a paragraph and you have to fill in like 9 things in the paragraph, and when you get one wrong, it doesn't even tell you which one you get wrong. I'm familiar with those assignments and I try to avoid them. All right, I try to give you things that are just pretty straightforward. They're either fill in the answer or multiple choice or something that you can actually draw on. That's more for geometry, unfortunately. But so we're going to do, and also one more thing. When you're doing a Delta Math, always start at the top with the skill at the top. This particular skill assignment has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different skills, and actually this middle one is the same. These are just two problems. The whole thing should just take 37 minutes, okay, or so. So evaluating expressions is very straightforward. Just plug in for the variable and solve it. Use your calculator. Remember, this is 4 times whatever z is. Z is 10. So this is 40 minus 7, which is 33, okay? All right, next one is equivalent expressions. This is a nice multiple choice. You're just going to distribute and simplify by combining like terms and find which one is an equivalent expression. You're not going to simplify it all the way. One of these might be sort of a half simplified version. So pay attention to that. These are just individual problems, transforming problems. And this is the one that we did not do. We didn't do anything like this, okay? But it's pretty straightforward, I hope. Maybe you'll remember this. I hope you'll remember. So if this is just a relationship, remember most word problems are just there to give you either a function or a formula. Most word problems, they just give you a function or a formula, and then they'll tell you something to plug into the formula or something to solve for. So don't get bogged down in the fact that everyone hates word problems. Most of them, including this one, they just want to give you a formula and they say, solve for this. That's all they want you to do. They want you to look at this formula right here, and solve for means get it by itself. So just get P2 by itself, okay? So where is P2? It's right here. What's happening to it? It's being multiplied by V2. So how do we get rid of multiplication? We divide. So we're going to divide both sides by V2. And that's how we're going to get P2 by itself. And we're done once we do that. Okay? I just told you how to solve it. I didn't show you what the answer was. So you're on your own for that. Get that answer. All right, one-step equations. These are very straightforward. It's so simple, guys. You've been doing this since like 5th grade. Okay. All right, and two-step equations. It gets a little bit tougher, especially with those integers. Use your calculator when you're combining like terms, when you're adding integers. And ask your neighbor, ask somebody who knows. Don't be afraid not to know something. Being ashamed not to know something is, I don't want to make you feel bad about yourself, but it's the opposite of being a student. Like, just be willing to be a student. Nobody in the class knows everything. It's just some people have a little more experience working problems, solving problems, dealing with things like that. So ask somebody that has more experience. Don't think of it as smarter versus not smart. That is a false way of thinking about human intelligence. It's a false way of thinking about human intelligence to think smart versus not smart. It's much more experience versus not experienced. And that goes all the way back to when we're born. You know, some caregivers are more involved with things like adding and subtracting, multiplying. They're counting things for you. They're adding things to the Cheerios that are already on your plate. They're adding them and asking you to count them. And then some caregivers, that's not on on their skills, in their skill set. So it's just more about experience and not so much about some inborn intelligence, okay? So please pay attention to that. So if you struggle with something like this, you are not alone. Half the class is going to struggle with something like this, just because of the positives and negatives, but do your best on it, okay? So those are two-step equations. This is that last skill I did in the last video. All you're going to do is, here's our function. I know what you're thinking, where's the x? There is no x in this function. Y is 5 no matter what the x is, okay? So y is going to be 5. 5, 5, 5. This is actually a bad example. 5, 5, 5. So when you graph it, what's it going to look like? What's it going to look like when you graph it? -3, 5. -2, 5. -1, 5. 0, 5. What's this looking like? I heard it. It's a horizontal line, okay? So once you get everything plugged in, you just try it. I think the last skill should be, yeah, a little bit more to it. They want you to do it one step at a time. So don't get frustrated. It's just asking you to do it one step at a time. So whatever x is, we're going to square it. -3 squared is 9. Please plug this in your calculator, okay? Plug -3 squared, remember that's times itself, in your calculator. If you typed it in like this, you're going to get the wrong answer. When we square a negative, we've got to use parentheses. Why? Because your calculator is very, very specific with this order of operations. It's doing the exponent first. It's looking at this negative like multiplication. It's like a negative multiplied by the answer. So it's going, oh, 3 squared is 9. Now I'll apply the negative. The answer is -9. But that's not the answer that we want, right? So when you plug that in your calculator, you have to plug it in like this. And then you'll get the right answer. So that's 9. And then this is going to be 4, and this is going to be 1, and 0, and 1, and 4, and 9. Now we're plugging these numbers in to get the final value by adding 3. We're going to add 3. 7 and 12. And these are going to give us ordered pairs. And spoiler alert, it's going to look like a parabola. Okay? All right. So that is our Delta Math. Remember, always start at the top. Always start at the top because I do try to give the skills from most basic to a little bit more advanced. I don't think of it as easier or harder. I think these are the basic skills, and once you have those down, these will be easier, okay? So it should be pretty straightforward all the way through. Okay, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys soon.